Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Hello, and welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Thank you again for taking time out of your busy life to spend some time with us today. We've got a really cool episode, a mother-daughter team. Before we get there, we want to remind you if you haven't bought tickets for our Childcare Genius Live Conference, April 14th, 15th, and 16th, we have a couple tickets left that a couple people that couldn't make it. If you are looking for a ticket, go to our website and just let me know. You can send me an email, brian@childcaregenius.com, or go to our website and say, put me on a wait list for the whole tickets. We're not sure if how many tickets we have left. With this era, we could be sold out, but we think we have a couple left. So first come, first serve. If you want one of those last tickets to the live conference, reach out to me, brian@childcaregenius.com, and we will get you one of those tickets. But today we're going to meet an amazing mother-daughter team that has a Montessori school in New Mexico. And we met them, a little over a year ago. And I've known her for even longer. The mom, I've known her for quite a while. I used to coach her many years ago. And she's just an amazing team. We love listening to them. And they have the most passionate heart for teaching kids and for the Montessori principles. We just love them. So I think you'll enjoy this episode. Be prepared.
Let's get Betty and Sheila on the line. Hi, Betty and Sheila. Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, guys.
We're doing great. We're doing wonderfully. Thank you.
So good to see you. We were just with you a few months ago in Jamaica, and so happy to see you here today. I remember telling us that I'm going to get you guys on the podcast. We had dinner together, us four, when we were there, and we just fell in love with you guys. You're such a unique story of a mother-daughter team. I've coached a mother-daughter team before, actually a couple of them. So I love that dynamic, and of course, we work with our children, so we see a lot of similarities in there. And what a special gift. So we figured we'd have you on the line because there's a lot of people out there that probably their children are young now, and they want them to grow up into the business like you guys have. So they're looking to you for inspiration. So before we get started, why don't you tell our audience maybe a little bit more about your background, both of you, and what you did before you got in the childcare business?
I was a full-time realtor. I was very, very busy in the greater Albuquerque area, selling and listing, helping buyers and sellers with homes. And it was a good business for me. And I never imagined that I would be changing careers late in life. But it sort of happened. And Sheila had been to school. I'll let you talk about that.
Sure. So I was living in backwoods, Alaska, so outside of Juneau, finishing up my bachelor's degree, found out about Montessori, loved it, fell in love with it. Thought that I was going to go into something education, wasn't totally sure. I was in the museum world for a long time, loved it, loved the art world, but took one look at Montessori and said, oh my gosh, this is the direction I'm taking my life into. So I was in school after I went to training, which is graduate school. Then I was an international teacher, and then I taught in 3 other countries, and then I came back to the United States and eventually came back to New Mexico, honestly, to work with my mom and to try and raise the education standards and the opportunities for people in New Mexico, specifically the children in New Mexico. So.
Absolutely love that. Betty, I'm a former realtor myself, so I can relate on the sales side and done the childcare both. And childcare pays better, so I kind of like the childcare business better. But I do love
Surprisingly,
real
it
estate.
does.
It does pay good, and not to, I mean, our real estate business does quite well. But I'm not a realtor anymore. I let somebody handle the grunt work. But
It's more
such a
stable.
great. Yeah, it's better to own the property than buy and sell other people's properties for sure. List them rather. Uh,
Tell us about your school and why it's unique.
Well, when it was time to look for a location, we engaged a commercial realtor, and she helped us find a location that we thought was going to be fantastic. And it was too big. It wasn't in the best part of town. The neighbors were not the best on the planet. And so we were dying on the vine. We also
gross.
didn't know enough about the childcare industry business in the state of New Mexico and the programs that are offered. And we were just trying to live on private pay. And I was selling houses, and all of my commissions were going to pay staff and this huge rent that we signed up for. And Sheila had taken out graduate loans and gone to graduate school to help pay for expenses and her own living expenses. It was really rough.
Oh my gosh.
We were dying on the vine. I was my fingers in my head, and Sheila, how are you going to do this? It was terrible. But then when we learned about the state accreditation program in the state of New Mexico called Focus, it is an accreditation. We knew about national accreditations that are available, but we couldn't afford that. Those $5,000 a year's fees just wasn't going to be happening. And so we found about the free state accreditation. And so we did that. Sheila, oh my God, you can't believe how hard that girl worked, but she did it. And I applaud her for this. And once we became a 5-star school with the state. Oh, and by the way, we learned about the New Mexico pre-K program. It's a wonderful thing. And so we applied for those grants, and the combination of those two absolutely rocked our world. Let me retire from real estate, gave us a stable income, gave us kind of some credibility.
That make some money.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It changed everything. And getting away from private pay, I mean, we still have some of that because if people don't fall within the guidelines but that's okay. But the state programs changed our world.
But we're also different in that we're a teeny tiny small little Montessori school, and we're handmade, and we did not have the money initially to buy all of the materials, which they're incredibly expensive to buy, but it's really important to have an authentic Montessori school that everything is complete. And so we made everything. Truly, like we made our own dressing frames, we made our own pink tower, brown stairs, red rods. We worked really, really hard then to make everything be calibrated because everything has to be mathematically correct. We truly are a handmade little school, but we're very, very small. The other Montessori schools in the area are really large. We have 3 primary classrooms and an elementary, so we are looking to grow a little bit, but we're very small. We're up in Rio Rancho. But we're done with a lot of love. Like we even made our tables and chairs. So
Love that.
we really love it.
I hear those stories, and we did a lot of that early on. We couldn't afford, playground equipment and preschool equipment. It's just so darn expensive. These they feel like they're really ripping you off, and I think they do. We had to make our own. We had a contractor build us some things and shelves. So it's one of those things that you do. And it kind of segues into the next question. What are some of the obstacles you face when trying to grow your business? And obviously, capital is a big obstacle. What are some other obstacles you face when you're starting your business?
Well, I think we're fortunate that my husband, as a precision metal worker, but his passion is woodworking. And so he's the one who made so many of the materials out of wood that have made such a huge difference. And then I sewed all of the other things. And so just as far as
sewing machine forever.
Yeah.
But we loved it. So
as far as obstacles, I think it's just a matter of making all the preparations to make a quality school. Because if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. And once I started to learn from Sheila about how important it is to have things correct, you have to have the measurements, and so we learned how to do that. And just we give the children a shirt every year. Well, I embroider our name, our logo on the shirts.
And the aprons.
And aprons, all sorts of things that we do. So we bought a nice embroidery machine so that I could spend my summer doing this. I love to do it. It's okay. But that's how we do things, with integrity, with quality. Yeah. And it's a perception that we want to present to our clientele that we're a quality school. We may be small, but we're mighty. And we're proud of that. So
I love that.
It's important to us to keep those standards.
It's a good tagline, small but mighty. Anything else to add to Sheila?
It's just truly done with a lot of love. Like we literally took what we had. My grandmother's, my mom's mom, who taught both of us to sew, we used her old shirt that was her like very beloved shirt as the small button frame, like for one of the dressing frames, like things like that. It was find a way, use what we have, and that's what we did. If you look around the school, all of my travels, all of our life are all here. And it's done, it's not necessarily as duplicatable, but it's certainly done with a lot of love and a lot of intention.
It helped with a great start. Mm-hmm. And we tell the children the stories of where these things come from. And so it makes them more endeared to using these materials and keeping good care of them, because they know they mean something. And it's not just some throwaway something that you can just talk and not bother with. And so it helps them to buy in to taking good care of things, which then helps them to be more independent, so that when they go home to mom and dad, they take care of their stuff with mom and dad. They're independent. They can go to grandma's house. They can walk in, take care of things without breaking them, and understanding the importance and having some appreciation for what's around. And parents seem to like children who treat things with respect.
Yes,
for sure.
They do. How has coaching helped you grow your business?
It's huge. As a realtor, I learned a lot of years ago that I don't know everything. And there are questions that I don't even know to ask, to help me grow, to help me learn what I need to learn in order to do a good job. And I think it's the same probably in any business. And I learned that when we came to childcare, that there's a lot I didn't know. I mean, I know about business. I have a business degree, but that doesn't mean I know anything about the childcare industry. And so coaching has helped us think about questions to solve problems that we didn't even know to ask. And one of the best things is making me think, well, now that I think I want to retire, that I've got to put together a system to make me duplicatable of what I do. Well, I didn't even think about that. And my coach told me start writing everything down. Never occurred to me I needed to be doing that. So when I'm done teaching this year, that's my plan, to make myself duplicatable. But there's just so many little things that you don't even think to know to ask, that had we not have joined this. And the best part is the Wednesday calls, because those Wednesday calls are like, people are asking questions of real problems they have in today's school, and how am I going to solve it? And I think, well, yeah, I've had that problem too. Or the volume of experience in the people on that call is absolutely magnificent. And there is no way that I could gather together all those kinds of brains to solve the problems that are just day in and day out little things or big things. I mean, it goes both ways. But being a part of this group has been priceless. And we really enjoy it. Sometimes we can't attend every call because the school takes over and the kids get things going on, but we do the best we can. And we love being able to attend those calls and hear questions that we never even thought could be out there, or a problem that we had that we were ashamed to ask and find a solution for that'll really work for us. It's like the best. Thank you.
I think it's also that whether you're the head of anything, whether it's childcare or education or specifically Montessori, which is its own kind of niche idea, it can be extremely taxing and extremely emotionally taxing because it's such a personal deal that it's really lonely. It's very, very, very lonely. And it's really interesting to be meeting other people who, whether they do the exact same thing that we do or not, doesn't matter. They still care about what they do. And it's nice to have other friends that you can talk to who actually do understand, because you spend your life with your staff who are lovely, amazing, wonderful people. And we have phenomenal staff. But you can't befriend them, even though you live with them
Yes.
and you love them. Their priority is not you. Your priority is them, but it doesn't necessarily go both ways. If they have to make a choice between like their family and the school, they're going to choose their family, whereas we would choose them. And sometimes, and we still take care of our family, don't get me wrong, but we don't have that option. And sometimes it's really heartbreaking, like really, really, really heartbreaking. Like, I'm sorry, you did what? What do you think you're doing? Like, you gave us 2 weeks notice, and we're going, no, we require 2 months notice minimum. And what do you think you're doing? Stuff like that happens. And for the owners and the directors, it's really shocking that, what do you mean people have other priorities? But yet they do. But it also then leaves you completely out in the cold, wondering, oh gosh, nobody understands this. And it's really, really hard. And then there also comes a time when we love one another and we like one another a lot. But you also need other people too. And that really does matter. It makes a huge difference. And so, yes, being a part of the coaching, I think it's helpful learning the business end of it, because I know all the education end, and I know the accreditation end, and I know all of that paperwork end, the licensing end. But I'm still learning the business end about profit and loss, about running payroll, about those kinds of things. And coaching also gives you other ideas about how to get this stuff done, so it doesn't have to be so stressful about what have other people done. So you're getting creative on things that you still know, like I have an idea about, but it's just been really, really helpful to not feel so alone. And I'm sorry, but that matters. It really does. We also like you. We like you as people.
And I love that. And that's why I was like coaching groups, because, it's a
Mhm.
place where you don't feel so alone, because you're like on an island as an owner,
Mhm.
and it's a lonely place, and you can't talk to your competitors. Really, nobody you can talk to. And a lot of times you can't even talk to your own spouse because they don't understand, because they're not
Yeah.
involved. So I know that, and that's why we established our business the way we did, to have that association. We meet twice a year, and so we have these things where we can, get a hug from the people that's been helping you for 6 months. You could actually meet and talk to them. So, um, love that. So where do you see your business growing? We were 25 years ago with one small school, is your words, one small school ourselves before we started opening more schools. Where do you see yourself 3 years from now? What are your long-term goals?
We have dreams of growing, and um, we have talked several times to builders. Um, Before COVID, we got a quote for a nice building that would accommodate our needs for $1.3 million. And then not long after that, we got a quote for 3 million. And probably if we get a quote today, it might be more than that, 4 or 5. And with interest rates the way they are, I mean, with my real estate background, and I look at, the cost of money and all that, it's been like, so in 3 to 5 years, we really need to grow, because we have a big demand. And that's nice. People want Montessori. They want Sheila's amazing elementary class she does stuff that is just fantastic. And she loves being a fantastic elementary teacher, which is really great. So we desire to grow. It's honestly really about fear of taking on the big mortgage.
Yep. Good fear. But in Cancun this year, when we go to Mexico for our fall conference, I'm going to be doing a session on how to expand without paying those large prices.
We will be there.
To do it.
Well, then
For
tell
sure,
me
I
how
know
to
you'll
do
be
it
there.
because we have a big demand, and we kind of know how we're actually hiring staff. It's really hard to find good Montessori staff, but we're hiring Montessori staff. We're growing them up through our business, which is great. So we see how we can grow, but oh my gosh, the money is it's scary.
It is.
Yeah, we talk about that. We've opened 10 schools without ever going to a bank and borrowing a penny. So there's always a creative way to do it. There's owner financing. There's other options, which we teach at our conference. So if you're listening, like, tell me the secret. No, you got to come to our leverage conference in the fall. We teach a lot of those secrets. But we'll help you. As a coaching student, we will help you get there.
Thank you.
We've helped people open up schools and they paid $0 for them. Zero. They walked in, took over a business, and didn't have to pay anything, and was in business and profitable within 3 months. We have a couple people do that. So it's just finding the deals, and we'll help you do that.
Thank you.
And you attended our CCG live conference in Las Vegas last year.
This year.
Yes.
Oh, this year.
No, last year. I don't even know what year it is. It was last year.
It's only January.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's February.
We don't even know. We're recording this in February. Well, you'll be airing, I think, in March.
Would you recommend this conference to others?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This conference was the first childcare conference that I succeeded in taking Sheila to. Now, Brian, I knew you from before, and I knew of your talents. I knew of your expertise. I had been watching you from all of the emails that you sent me, and I bought into your books and all that good stuff, but I hadn't gotten her to come and be a part. And I'll tell you, I kind of took her, kicking and screaming. She just didn't want to get out of the class, didn't want to go, but I knew it was important. I said, we have to get away from where we're in, and you have to go to this. That's what I told her. I said, you have to go. And she very reluctantly went. And it was quite a life-changing experience for her. Now, I knew I had a good idea. I mean, they're always different, and you bring in such wonderful people and expertise and topics, and all that is fantastic. And the way you put it together, I kind of hadn't seen that before, and I really did enjoy it a lot. But because you had the owners in one place and the directors in a different place, you could have owners topics and you could have directors topics, and that was magical. And so I made Sheila go to the owners topics because I wanted her to think like an owner instead of thinking like a director, which is not a bad thing, or a teacher. I needed her to shift her mindset, and that conference did it. And I thank you, because it was really quite transformative. And that's why we like so much being a part of what you and Carol offer, is because you make us think in a different way, and you make her think like a business owner, which is truly a different mindset. And it's a good thing. It's just learning to ask questions that you don't even know to ask.
She's being polite. I was really mad about having to leave my kids again.
I know.
Well, let's be clear about this. Life is good with these children. It really is good. I like them. This is fun. And I've always been of the idea that if life never gets any better than this, we're okay. Truly, this is okay. Let me tell you, I really like my life a lot. But it's interesting. And so if anybody else, I guess, listening to this is also a teacher going, I don't want to talk about profit and loss and to talk about spreadsheets, and this is not fun. No. The ideas that you get from there, it's kind of like reading other business books. Sometimes you read them and they're really, really dry, and you're going, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? Can't we get to something fun like curriculum, like astronomy, or or other math, or other language or grammar, right? Stuff like that, because that's the fun stuff. You do get other ideas about how you can make a bigger impact. And that's actually what you did that you're talking about, going, Sheila, you can still do this and you can help more children, and it can still be fun. So that's where,
An owner does not mean you can't go in and teach anytime you want, Sheila. The good news is you don't have to, but you can. No, you're not.
yeah, but
you
I
don't
would
have
like to, because that's the
gotta be a
fun.
point someday you're gonna be like, you know what? Okay, like Carol's reached that point, like, okay, I've done my dude. I don't have to go into the classroom anymore. And you're gonna get there to a point someday. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. You can go in there and you can teach anytime. And the good news is you did it. You came and your mom got you there. She might have had to drag you and handcuff you, whatever it took to get you there. But it was all you on the other side. And I do got to tell one story. When Carol and I were in Jamaica, usually we prearrange with couples we want to have dinner on. One night I said, Carol, guess what? I said, I want to let God figure out who we're going to eat dinner with tonight. I said, why don't we just show up at a restaurant, and then whoever the first couple that shows up, we're going to have dinner with them. We'll let fate decide. And it was you guys that were the first couple that showed up. So we had prayed, like, put the right person in our path. And sure enough, it was you two. And we had a lovely meal. And you were the only couple we had dinner with that night, those 2-3 days. And it was fantastic. And we got a chance to get to know you on a different level. And I hope you enjoyed the time. We didn't bore you too much with our conversation.
We loved it.
Was really cool. And we like to do that when we go to events, just to let fate kind of decide and not pre-plan. Mm-hmm. And it's just let the right person run into your path. And we just want to let you know it was special for us, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. We truly loved our evening together.
Oh, cool. So now let's get to the down and dirty. People are asking, how do they get along without killing each other? Or maybe they pull their hair out when we don't see it. So they always asking Carol and I, but this is a different dynamic because, she changed your diaper, Sheila. So you got a little bit of power over you here that I can't say the same, not yet anyway, to Carol. Oh, that was a good one. I got the age difference in there, right? Because she is incredibly older than I am, even though she doesn't look at it. Foot in mouth going in. All right. So what are your secrets to working in your business together as a mother-daughter team?
We really like one another as people. We love one another as mother and daughter, but we really do like one another as people. I would say the biggest thing that we did, and I hate every single time, because this is my mom, and I want to say mom, but I don't say mom in school. It's Mrs. O. And I am Miss Griffin, and that's how it is. Every once in a while, like we split, like we kind of will make a mistake in there, but that's become very important because we have had a few people or more than a few, try and use that against us. Like even our landlord still tells me, why don't you go ask your mommy? My mommy.
He doesn't seem to understand that, honestly, this business started out as Sheila's business. Yeah. And I have purposely kept her at 51% and I'm at 49%.
And I couldn't have done it without her.
Intentionally, because I had a lot to lose. She had nothing to lose. And so if it's all in her, then it was better for me. I'm older, obviously, but I want to set her up. So it's also been extraordinarily important for each of us to recognize each other's strengths. Sheila has got the education, the curriculum, the accreditation, all of that. Oh my gosh, that girl works so hard. I respect her for her work ethic, for her talents, and for her doing all of that. By the same token, I have a business degree. I'm fortunate to have that business background, and I don't care what business you're in. I was in the automotive business. I was a realtor. I once was working for an architectural firm. I don't care what it is. You can have, all businesses have to have some business taken care of in order to stay legal and stay afloat and stay paid and keep everything on the up and up.
Grocery receipts, tax, have to pay those.
And so
It makes a difference.
all of that stuff is really, really important. And I have understood this. So Sheila knows what I can do. I know what she can do. We're learning to go back and forth. But I think us each having a true recognition and respect for one another's talents and not stepping on each other's toes is important. And if we ever make a decision, anything, purchasing decision, $500 or more, we always consult with one another. And she'll ask me her opinion. Ask me my opinion, I'll ask her opinion, and we respect one another in that regard. And
No boundaries, guardrails, and lanes. That's the secret, right?
We also purposely edify one another completely to our staff. I have all the education and the credentials in education and specifically in Montessori, but that doesn't mean that my mom, Mrs. O, doesn't know what she's talking about, because she does. At the same time, Mrs. O, my mom, does have a huge business background, but she raised me up along the way. And besides that, she taught me everything along the way. She was also my Girl Scout leader. She was the one who taught me how to sew. That's really important. She was the one who also taught me about can do, find a way. You can do this. And the expectation was always that I would. And so I did. But then also the same way, and that whenever one of us has kind of said, I'm done, the other one truly hears that and says, okay. And we don't force one another beyond that. Now, sometimes it's just a good night's sleep or a trip to Las Vegas. Jamaica was really nice to sleep a minute, because we don't do a whole lot of that.
I also think that living separately is important.
Yeah.
We tried, when we first started the school, out of necessity, Sheila was living with me and my husband in our house, and love her to pieces. All that was great. But at some point, when she could live on her own, I do think it made things easier, because a little bit of distance is a good thing.
Yeah. I also think having things
Don't give me
legally.
ideas.
Well, we're mother and daughter. I think it's a little bit different than a
I
couple.
get it. I keep making those stupid comments. I might be living on my own.
Yeah. Once he said, I don't know what it's going to be like married to a 61-year-old. I said, keep talking and you won't be.
I think you both are pretty darn wonderful. Jenny,
That's right. Spoken house.
If you had it to do all over again, what would you do differently?
I think that if we were to start another school again, there's certainly a lot that we would do differently, because we know better. However, I certainly made a lot of mistakes, but I absolutely did the very best that I could. And I think it really came down to me. I worked in other people's schools, and my career before I owned my own school was working in other people's schools at either startup or struggling Montessori schools. So it really was excellent preparation to start my own school. But it really took a really incredibly bad experience for me to go, I am not working in another Montessori school until I own it and I can live my life with career integrity. It was hugely important to me. There was other things that were also perhaps ridiculously important to me, but they really were. And it just became do or die. You will do this, and this is how it is. It was not done perfectly. That first building that we had, oh my God, it was so gross. I was scrubbing those walls until the day that we left. That you have no idea how bad.
It was gross.
This was really bad.
It was an old child care center that was used hard and hung up wet, and then not in a good way.
And then the thing flooded all the time. So I was constantly doing everything that I could just to make it work. But it's always been find a way, figure it out, find a way, and just keep going. And so I don't think that there's anything. We did the best that we could. Now, going forward, if we were to open up another place, oh my gosh, night and day. But there's also lessons that we learned along the way that, I mean, first of all, it would be accredited day one. You know, we would have more financial resources to not necessarily be creating shelves from boards that I could find around.
Or garage sales.
Garage sales, or
Yes.
creating tables from nothing, because that's what we did at first. So it would be a lot nicer, but I'm going to cut myself some slack, and definitely my mom. Oh my gosh, we did the very best we could. And I do think that it's not about like, what would you do different? It's just do it. Find a way, just do it, and eat well along the way. I had no money for years. I lived on $33.17 a month. That was it for everything. And my mama made sure that I had lunch most days. Thank you. That makes a huge difference.
Love that story. You guys are so inspirational. And you know what? This is why you're going to be successful, and you are successful, because you'll have the do whatever it takes attitude. And that's business ownership 101 right there. You do whatever it takes. And what a great legacy, you know, to leave. You never got to forget the time with your mom working together. So
Yeah.
we want to thank you guys for coming on, taking time out of your busy lives. And I know you're busy. We recording this on a holiday, because your center's closed, because it's hard to nail you down during the week, because you're always there'd be kids running around the back behind you, probably, right? So we want to thank you again for taking. It is. I know it's fun. So I hope it's fun to the day you die, Sheila. I really do. Because I would hire you tomorrow. I would love to have 100 of you at my center. You're one of the best teachers I have ever seen in my life, as far as passion and love for the kids. I've never had an employee with the passion you have. And every person listening would love to have you as their teacher. So whatever you've done, you just got to go hire people like you. But your mom's business sense is rubbing off on you, which is helping you as well, because she's got a great business head on your shoulders. So together, you're unstoppable. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys in Cancun in a few months. And we will. And if anybody wants to meet you, they can come to our Leverage Conference in Cancun. Buy tickets now; they're for sale, and we'll see you guys there.
Thank you.
And have a great rest of your day.
You too. Sure.
Bye. Boy, they are a dynamic couple, power couple, mother-daughter power couple. And she's just such a heart for kids and teaching.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I see the passion, and I've never seen that kind of passion with a teacher in any teacher that I've ever hired.
Yeah.
And I just love that.
I agree.
All right. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy life again. I know I say that a lot, but we're very humbled that we have such a following, and so many people reach out and tell us how much the podcast has meant to them. And we're very humbled by hearing those comments. It's what keeps us going. You know, and I'm sick today, and I'm still trudging forward to the podcast, because I know it's important for you as the listener to hear from these guests, because you get your motivation and inspiration. So again, thanks for listening to Child Care Genius Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed it.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Child Care Genius Podcast. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Child Care Genius Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Child Care Genius community.